Izuku had gathered up all the kids in his office, all except for Mu, Kai, and Fukunoko, for an exciting announcement. Alright everyone, as you know Halloween is coming soon, and I have plans for us to fully enjoy the holiday, Izuku said as he saw the excitement in the children grow. Firstly, since we'll be staying up late that night, the classes after Halloween will be suspended. Yeah? Fewer children cheered at that than you'd expect, but very few of them looked disappointed. Secondly, we'll be going trick-or-treating, from 10 a.m. to 10 p.m., Izuku announced. Yeah. Now all the children looked excited to some extent, except Fu who couldn't care less. And when you all come back, there'll be a Halloween party with 1A, with several different events. Including pumpkin picking, jack-o'-lantern making, a maze, and of course a costume contest. Izuku continued. You don't have to participate, but if you do, you have to promise not to be upset if you lose. Understood? Izuku got nods all around, but some of the kids had a competitive look in their eyes, which made Izuku a bit nervous. You have the option to make your own costume, have someone else make it for you, or you can ask me to buy one for you, Izuku said, before looking at Shiroku. Shiroku, if someone asks you to make their costume, please do it for them, I'll add it to your allowance. Shiroku's eyes glowed, as she imagined all the Halloween units she could summon on her gotchas. Yes, Daddy. I'll do my best. Alrighty then, any questions? Izuku asked. Kei raised her hand. What about Kai, Fuku, and Mu? Are they gonna trick or treat with us? Izuku sighed. Unfortunately no. Both Fuku and Mu decided not to because, well they don't want to. And Kai can't come because, well he's too big. So instead Kaminari and Mina are gonna watch Halloween films with him until the party. And they all will be attending the party. Yes, even Fuku. This will be the first time she's been in a crowd, so don't overwhelm her, and try to make her feel comfortable. Understood? Once again more nods, before Nara raised her hand. Who is going to be chaperoning us while trick-or-treating? Ken rolled his eyes. We're not babies, we don't need chaperones. Yes, you do, Izuku responded, much to Ken's dismay. You'll all be split up into groups, and watched by myself, Ochaco, Su, Iida, and Yaoyorozu. That makes sense, Nara said. Shiroku was the next to raise her hand. Who is going to be judging the contest? Izuku smiled. That is a special surprise, that I won't spoil for you. Now, are there any more questions? No one raised their hand. Good. Halloween is in a week, so just take that time to get ready. Izuku told them. Now, you're free to go. Immediately the children ran to go think of costume ideas. XXXXXXXXXX. Absolutely not. Fu refused. Fu didn't really know what he wanted to be for Halloween. He didn't really have any plans for any kind of costume in particular. But when Kiba came into his room and made her suggestion, Fu instantly knew what he didn't want to go as. Please, Kiba begged, giving him the puppy dog eyes he had long since become mostly immune to. I have the perfect costume idea, and it will only be complete if you go in this specific costume. And Kaiosei would make it even more perfect. I am not an accessory, Kiba. Fu deadpanned, crossing his arms. And I happen to have some sense of masculine pride left in my undead body. Okay, how much is that pride worth then? Kiba asked him. Because there are some great Halloween banners right now, and I'm sure you'd love the chance to summon on them, right? Fu grit his teeth, as his mind went to all the games he could use that money on. Are you really going to make me sell you my pride? Kiba just continued to smirk, confident that she got him. Because she did. XXXXXXXXXX. Interesting. I thought you would go with something more predictable. Shiroku said as she looked at Kiba's phone, which displayed the character she wanted to dress up as. Still, I never watched this anime, but the character looks like they fit you. They do indeed. This character is one of the only characters in fiction worthy of my admiration, and as such would be the only character worth dyeing my hair for, Kiba said as she was practically shaking with excitement. This has been my idea for a costume ever since I laid eyes on their anime. Which also brings me to Fu's costume. Fu sighed in the background, regretting letting Kiba drag him all the way over here. Just show her it already. Kiba excitedly showed Shiroku the next character, the character Fu would be dressing up as. Shiroku's eyes widened, and she stared at the image for a bit in disbelief, before turning to Fu who was looking away from her, blushing more than she'd ever seen him blush before. Are you sure you want to dress up as them? Look, Halloween banners are up, and she is paying me a considerable amount of money to wear that, Fu explained. You understand. You're an addict too. Shiruka gave him a sympathetic look. Alright, as long as you're sure. Of course we'll also need a lot of makeup, a wig, and some props, Kiba said. I want these to be perfect. Fu groaned. Yeah, perfect. XXXXXXXXXXXXX. Really? Izuku said as he looked at the notes detailing Kiba and Fu's costumes, and what would be needed to complete them. Fu wants to wear that? More like Kiba paid him to wear it, Shiruku explained. Ah, that makes more sense. Izuku sighed. That girl, at least I don't have to worry about her being financially independent. Alright, well I can get pretty much everything here. The guns will obviously have to be fake though. Yeah, that makes sense, Shiruka responded. Also, have you decided what you want to be yet? Izuku asked her. Shiruka then, unexpectedly, frowned, and her mood seemed to darken. I haven't. That's unexpected, Izuku said. He thought Shiruka would have loved this opportunity. What's wrong? Well, it's just, I want to make this special. Shiruka admitted, looking sheepish as her pale cheeks turned red. Normally during Halloween, I would just celebrate by making simple dresses based on ghosts, or pumpkins. I never made a costume because... Shiruka gestured down to her lower body. But this year, it's my first Halloween with my family. I really want to make a costume but... Shiruka paused. How do I make a costume when I look like this? I could make a scary costume like a ghost or a spider monster, but those don't feel like they match me, but they would match my body more than something like a princess or fairy costume. I don't know what to do. Nothing feels like me. Oh, Shiruku. Izuku got up and hugged his spider daughter. Your body isn't limited to dressing up as scary monsters. Yes, people can find your spider half to be rather frightening, but there's more to you than just that half. Your upper half has beautiful white skin and hair, and mesmerizing eyes. Maybe you don't have to pick one or the other. Scary or pretty. Maybe the key is finding a way to combine the two somehow. Combine the two, Shiruka repeated, as her eyes widened. It was then the dam broke. Suddenly dozens of ideas started to form in her head, and the creativity block she had suffered was long gone. That's it. Shiruka was so happy she almost cried, looking at her father with a huge grin on her face. I know exactly what to do now. Oh, thank you, Daddy. Shiruka hugged him back, hard enough that Izuku could feel his bones creak. Shiruku, you strength. Izuku reminded her urgently. Oh, sorry, Daddy. I just got excited. Shiruka released Izuku from her death grip and immediately made a beeline for the door. I have to start making designs. I'll show you when it's ready, Daddy, you're going to love it. Slam! And she was gone. Once Izuku got over his bones almost being crushed, he smiled. Ah, this is the best part of my job. XXXXXXXXXXX. Fukunoko looked over her work that was splayed across her bed, with dissatisfaction. No. Oh, why can't I get this right? Stupid, useless Fuku. Knock knock knock. EAP. Fuku jumped a bit when someone knocked on her door. Who is it? It's me. Shiruku. Shiruka said on the other side of the door. Can I come in, please? I want to ask you a favor. A favor? Fuku felt nervous. What kind of favor? I just want you to draw some things for me, Shiruku explained. Can I come in, please? Fuku hesitated. She didn't know Shiruka super well, but she did make her hoodies, and she loved her hoodies. This seemed like the least she could do in return. So after working up a bit of courage, Fuku opened her door. Shiruka crawled inside and gave Fuku a thankful smile. Thank you. You were the only one I could rely on here. Rely on me? Fuku blushed. I doubt I'm the best person for the job. Nonsense. Besides Daddy, you're the best artist here. Shiruka pointed out. But I want to keep this a secret from Daddy. I don't want him to see my costume until Halloween. Oh, you wanted me to make you a costume? Fuku frowned, and looked back at her own attempt at a costume on her bed. This of course drew Shiruka's attention, as she looked at what Fuku was staring at. Is that a blue shirt? Ah. Fuku jolted when she realized what she did, and quickly grabbed the shirt, before hiding it behind her back. Don't worry about that. Let's just focus on your costume. But Shiruku ignored her, and simply went up to her and grabbed the blue shirt, taking a closer look at it. It looks handmade. Did you make this? Fuku looked down at the floor, ashamed of herself. I know it's bad, and it must be an insult to someone like you. I'm sorry for even trying. No, it's pretty good. Could use some touching up, a lot of touching up. But it's not bad. Shiroku told her. I just didn't know you liked to sew. I try it every now and then, it's just a hobby, Fuku said. Although I wish I was better at it. I wanted to make my own costume but I just can't seem to get it right. Well, then I'll help you. Shiroku offered. I'll help you learn how to make clothes, and you can help me learn how to draw. Deal? Shiroku extended her hand out. Fuku looked at it nervously, before taking a look at her incomplete costume and making up her mind. Deal. XXXXXXXXXXXX. A week had passed surprisingly quickly, and Halloween was finally upon them. 1A had gotten there early in the morning, to do what was asked of them. Mina and Kaminari were already keeping Kai busy, while most of the other members of the class worked to get the Halloween party set up. Of course, the exceptions were Ochaco, Iida, Su, and Momo, who were dressed up and ready to escort the kids. For some reason, there seemed to be a fantasy theme among all of them. Ochaco was dressed as some kind of hooded mage, complete with a wooden staff. Su was dressed as a barmaid. And both Iida and Momo were dressed as knights. Wow, you guys look great. Izuku said as he came down the stairs in the main hall to meet them. Oh, the woe. Ochaco as well as the rest of her friends were shocked when they saw Izuku's costume. Now, one might expect Izuku to dress up as All Might. And if this were every other Halloween they'd be right. But for this new and special Halloween, Izuku wanted to try something new. And thus his costume here was, Pinhead, from Hellraiser. Ochaco was speechless as Izuku walked towards them, looking just weird. This is not what I expected from you Midoriya, Iida said, getting over his own shock. I don't anyone expected this from Midoriya, Su said. It is rather strange, Momo added. Yeah, I wanted to go with something different. New me, new kinds of costumes you know. Izuku gave a nervous chuckle. Too much? No, it's just unexpected, Ochaco said. Well, I guess that's what I was going for. Izuku chuckled. The kids should be here any minute so I guess we just dash. Alright, let's start the candy hunt, shouted Ken. Hey, wait up doofus. Nara yelled. The two came down the stairs in their fresh new costumes. Ken was Omni-Man from Invincible. And Nara was just dressed as a witch. Alright, we're ready to go. Ken said eagerly. What do you think of my costume? Awesome, right? It's certainly well made, Su said. Yeah, you look like a real superhero. Ochaco praised him. Nara rolled her eyes. More like a super dweeb. Yeah, have fun dressing up as mass murderer bro. Oh come on, he had character development after that. Ken argued. He did a lot of great things. Doesn't make him not a mass murderer. Nara retorted with a smug smirk. Before their argument could progress much further, the next group of kids came downstairs. We're ready daddy. Kei came running down the stairs, followed by Eri and Kioku. Kei was predictably dressed in a snake costume. Was it very creative? No. Was it very Kei? Yes. Eri was also dressed as something more predictable, a unicorn. Lastly, there was Kioku who was dressed as Jason Voorhees. Yeah. I can't wait to scare the heck out of people. Kioku shouted with excitement, as she waved around her fake machete. Are you sure that is an appropriate costume for her? Iida asked Izuku. Izuku shrugged. It's what she wanted to be. I'll look at you too. You're so cute. Ochaco said, leaning down and hugging the two girls. Thank you. Kei giggled, hugging her back. You look great too Ochaco. Why yeah, Eri said, a bit more flustered about this. Then the next group of kids arrived. Dad, we're ready. Netsu shouted as he came down, followed by Yami, Yonda, Otoko, and Sansan. Netsu was dressed up as the Human Torch from the Fantastic Four. Unfortunately, the clothes had to go over the flames unlike how it was with the actual character, but if they tried to do it the other way then that would result in him setting everything on fire. Yami was the Grim Reaper, which made far too much sense. He was basically just wearing his own Aegis robe, along with a plastic bone scythe. One thing to note was that unlike Izuku, where you couldn't see anything of his face as long as the hood was on, you could still see Yami's glowing red eyes, making it even creepier. Yonda was simply dressed up as a princess in a pink dress, with a golden crown. Simple, but it made her happy. Otoko probably had the most simple costume. He was a ghost, with a white sheet thrown over him, and some eye holes coming out. Again, simple, but given his appearance, there wasn't much he could do, and unlike Shiruka, he didn't care enough to think about it. He was just happy to be here. There was also an argument that could be made that Sansan had the most simple costume, but also the most accurate. She was dressed as Rimuru Tempest from That Time I Got Reincarnated as a slime, particularly she was dressed up as his slime form, which was just a ball of blue slime with black lines for eyes, so all Sansan had to do was ask Izuku to dye her body that same shade of blue, and then add some black pencils for the eyes. She was also staying in Rimuru's standard blob shape, although she was bouncing around even more than normal. "Wow, you two are really scary," Su said to Otoko and Yami. "They're simple but effective." "Thanks," Yami responded. Otoko cinched thank you as well. "What do you think of my costume?" Yonda asked everyone, doing a twirl to show it off. "It's pretty," Ochaco thought. "A princess, such a simple, yet appropriate costume." Iida thought. "Cute," thought Su. "It's refreshingly childlike." Momo thought. "You look even more like a princess than normal." Izuku smiled at her. Yonda smiled at him and hugged his leg. "Cute," everyone thought. "Come on, we're going to make everyone late," came Kiba's voice from upstairs. "We wouldn't have to worry about that if you didn't take so long adjusting the wig," came Fu's voice. "Well, it had to be perfect. If you're going to do this, then you might as well do it right," Kiba argued. "You have a point." Fu sighed. Hearing them coming downstairs, Izuku quickly turned to the kids. "Now kids, I don't want you making fun of each other's costumes, especially Fu's. If you do, then half your candy goes to Fuku and Mu." "What's Fu's in particular?" Su asked. "Did Kiba force him to dress up as something embarrassing? You'll see." Izuku sighed. A few seconds later, Kiba and Fu came downstairs. Everyone looked at Fu in shock. And both Ken and Kioku had to hold in their laughter. Kiba was dressed as Alucard from Hellsing Ultimate, getting everything right down to his black clothes and red coat, to his red hat, to his glasses. Heck, she even dyed her hair black, and had fake guns to match. And Fu was dressed as Ceres from Hellsing Ultimate. This included her yellow uniform, as well as her skirt and stockings. Kiba had even used makeup to make his skin more in line with the characters, as well as colored contacts, and a wig. "Oh my god." Ochaco forced down a laugh and gave the boy a sympathetic look. "Well, it's certainly well done," Iida responded, completely stunned by this. "That girl." Su face-bombed, shaking her head at Kiba's antics. "Wow, Dad, did we get a new sister?" Kei asked Izuku. "Yeah, when did that happen?" Netsu added. Fu sighed. "No, it's me." Both Netsu and Kei gasped, having not quite figured out it was Fu up until this point. "Fu. Oh wow, your costume is amazing," Kei praised. "I didn't even know you were a boy, you're so pretty." "Yeah, I thought you were a girl too," Netsu added, giving him a thumbs up. "Nice job." Fu's eye twitched. "Thank you. How much did Kiba pay you to wear this?" Nara asked him, already guessing how the vampire girl managed this. "A lot," Fu said, before turning his gaze to Kioku and Ken, who were still trying not to laugh as hard as possible. "I don't want to hear a word about this, from either of you." "Hey, is someone going to talk about my costume?" Kiba pouted. "You look cool too, Kiba." Netsu prized her. "I like your hair." "Yes, it looks good in black." Yonda added. "Humph. That will do for now," Kiba said. Then they heard more footsteps coming down the stairs, belonging to the last child left. Everyone looked up, as Shiruka came down. Shiruka's costume was vastly more unique than anyone else's, not being based off a character or basic Halloween type of thing, it was completely original. Her costume looked to be based on a shrine maiden, but darker, and with some spider-based elements. The normally white upper part was instead black, with some red thrown in. She had a hood which went down to her back like a cape, and while the part around her head was the same black and red, the part going down her back was obviously webbing and had a web-like design. The long sleeves, instead of having red lines along the edge of the sleeve, instead now it was red spiders. And instead of the lower half being red, it also looked like webs, much like the back of her hood. And the red bow around her waist had 6 frills on it, 3 of both sides, making it reminiscent of a spider. She even had a small staff, with a red spider with frills for legs at the end. Heck, she even painted some red patterns on her spider half. It was a very intricate and well-designed costume that had everyone in awe. Wow, Kei gasped, looking at her sister with stars in her eyes. You're beautiful, Yonda said in astonishment. So cool, Netsu said. Wow, that looks amazing, Shiroku, Nara praised. Now I'm starting to wish I put more effort into mine. It's so pretty, Eri said, seemingly mesmerized by the costume. To think something of such high quality could come from a child, Iida said, before giving applause. Bravo! Bravo! Such hard work and dedication. It's truly an amazing costume. Not just that but the creativity on display, Momo said, as she got a closer look at the costume. It's astounding. Shiroka had a huge grin on her face, as this time tears of joy did come from her eyes. Thank you. I worked really hard on it. The spider girl then turned to Izuku, who smiled fondly at her. Did I find the right balance, Daddy? It's perfect, Izuku said, leaning down and hugging her once again. But I didn't do it alone, Shiroka said, as she broke the hug and looked up the stairs. I had some help from a certain someone. There was a long pause before more footsteps could be heard coming down the steps. And down came Fuku, in a Link from the Legend of Zelda costume. But it wasn't some slapped-together green tunic and hat, no, this was a perfect recreation of the Link outfit as seen in Breath of the Wild. Starting from the ground up, she had on his brown boots and light-colored pants. Next was the iconic blue tunic, which was decorated just like how it was in the game. As well as having 3 belts, 2 around her waist and 1 across her chest, 1 to hold the quiver full of arrows on her back, 1 to hold her Sheikah slate, and 1 to hold her master sword, scabbard, Hylian shield, and bow. She was also wearing an undershirt that sleeves showed outside of the tunic, and the brown glove on her right hand, with her other hand, exposed. Lastly, she even dyed and styled her hair, to look more like Link from that game, including a ponytail, although her bangs were noticeably shorter than Link's. One last detail was that her left hand was painted the Triforce of Courage, that Link obtained in Breath of the Wild sequel. Once again everyone was amazed, both by the detail and work that went into the costume, the fact that Fuku was wearing it, and the fact that Fuku had shown up. Wow wow! Kei ran up to Fuku the moment she sheepishly arrived down the stairs. Fuku, you look so cool. Why I do? Fuku seemed surprised by this sudden praise. I mean, me and Shiroku worked really hard on this, and I was really happy about how it turned out, but I was also nervous that I missed something or it just didn't fit me. So I was really nervous about how I would look, and I'm talking too much, aren't I? You're fine, Shiroku said, going over to Fuku and holding up her left hand to her face. Remember this? Right, courage, Fuku said, as looked at the painted-on Triforce fragment. You look great, Fuku, Eri said, eager to support her. I definitely didn't expect you to wear something this dashing, Yonda said. Sansan made a hand come out of her body and gave her thumbs up. Ah, you guys. Fuku blushed intensely. I think you look good too, Fuku, Fu said. Thanks F dash Fuku froze when she saw Fu. Fu? Yeah. Fu sighed. Oh, I didn't know you were into that kind of thing, Fuku said. I mean, I'm dressed as a guy so I'm not going to judge. Fu didn't even bother to respond to that. Having lost all will to resist at this point, and just going with the flow. And that's not all. Fuku is going to go trick-or-treating with us, Shiroku announced. Really? Izuku's eyes widened in shock before he turned to Fuku. And you agreed to this? Fuku nodded, looking back at the mark on her hand. I am the brave hero of the wild. Link. I can't just hide away like a coward while I have the Triforce of Courage on my hand. It wouldn't make any sense. So I decided that I would go out and have fun with all of you. Eri and Kei looked at her with amazement, and everyone else was surprised by this as well. Ochaco went to Izuku and whispered in his ear. Are you sure about this? What if her quirk goes off? She's gotten a lot better control of it after we started training, Izuku said. And she knows what to do if she feels overwhelmed. Right, Fuku? Fuku nodded. Run away so no one else gets hit by the gas. That's right, Izuku said. Well, then I don't see any issue with her going. Yay, Kei cheered, before hugging Fuku. I'm so excited. Eri joined the hug, and once again Fuku's face was redder than a tomato. Alright everyone, it's time to split up into groups, Izuku announced, before turning to Ochaco and company. Could you guys spread out please? They all nodded and spread out amongst the room. Okay, so Group A will be going with me, Izuku said. Group A will be Shiroku, Eri, Fuku, Kiba, and Fu. Next will be Group B with Ochaco. This will be Kei, Kioku, and Otoko. Group C will be with Sue. This group will be Yami, Yonda, and Sansan. Next will be Group D, going with Iida and Yaoyorozu. This group will be Netsu, Ken, and Nara. Why does our group have 2 people watching us? Ken protested. Because I know you're the most likely to try and pull some Halloween trick, that'll cause everyone a lot of headaches. Izuku deadpanned. Yeah, that's fair, Nara admitted. Don't worry, I'll do my part to make sure he stays out of trouble. Thank you, Izuku said. Alright, everyone. With that out of the way, time to trick or treat.